If you could describe yourself in one sentence, what would that be?
I think the simplest way to put it is like an onion. Recovery is something not taken serious. It's become so secondary that now it's too late. And Cold Plunge SG started off as a small group chat and just blew up. The motto of Cold Plunge SG is to really keep recovery affordable and accessible for everybody. And there was actually a quote by Vikram that says, invest in people.
Confusing the clientele is one of the bigger reasons F&Bs fail.
Yeah, so that's confusing people.
Yeah.
If you say Mexican, people understand, okay, it's Mexican food.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest is phenomenal. He started his career as a chef, and today he consults people and organizations on how to run their own F&B business. He also runs a community-driven recovery business called Cold Plunge SG, where he helps anybody and everybody recover their bodies by doing ice bath immersions, breath works, and many other things. We talk about the importance of recovery, and this is needed for everyone today. Finally, if you know somebody who wants to start an F&B business and understand the secret sauce behind actually making this successful, then this is something that you absolutely must watch to the very end. On to the show. So, it's been a while since we've caught up.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, and so good to have you in my home.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Studio, whatever
Nice
you call
spot,
that. And on this show. So I'm really excited to deep dive into everything that you've done so far.
Thank you for having me.
I have a very important question for you, and this
okay.
is for everyone.
Wow, okay.
So if you could describe yourself in one sentence, what would that be?
In one sentence?
Yes.
Wow.
What is Yadhaven to the world?
I think the easiest and simplest way to put it is Yadhaven is like an onion.
Okay, nice.
The more you peel,
Yeah.
the deeper you get into the core, find out more.
Okay, so I'm going to take the next hour and a half or so to peel as much as I can.
Okay. I'm not saying they might tear up. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think the onion is a metaphor for mystery. So I think I love that aspect more. Okay, cool. So tell us what you're working on now, which is Cold Plunge SG and 68 Solution. But tell us what is happening in your life, and let's do a quick catch up.
Sure. Well, I think a lot of people know that I run a recovery center called Cold Plunge SG, which started off as a small group chat and just blew up. But the idea of Cold Plunge wasn't to be like an amazing high-end spot for recovery or fitness. It's still very community-driven. The motto of Cold Plunge SG is to really keep recovery affordable and accessible for everybody. And that was the idea. And it's still the idea. And it still keeps going that way. Cold Plunge has a deeper growth. There's a deeper vision to it, which, we can talk about it later if you want to. That's one that I'm working on. I'm working on an e-commerce platform, and that is also something, basically the idea is to help brands grow. So basically there's a few brands that I worked with in the past and became part of. And also I thought, hey, this is a good platform to actually help brands to build foundations. That's another thing that I'm working on. And then of course, 68, which I used to work on with, it's no longer. It has evolved to Planet Right.
It's Planet Right.
Planet Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so Planet Right is something like 68, which still does consulting.
Okay.
Still does a more broader aspect now, not only F&B, but it also has brands in it. It also has, even if, anyone can walk up and go like, hey, I wanna start something. Where do I start?
Yeah.
Right. And or people can say, well, I don't want to start it. Can you start it for me? I have the money. And Planet Right is a platform as such that I'm doing myself. And these are the few things that I'm working on more. And I think in the background, same thing. We're just trying to, I think they're all all over the place, where basically they're all interconnected somehow, and they're just different sections that I'm building and putting all spots.
That's what I reckoned.
That's Siri. Can you close Siri?
Okay, thank you. I guess I'm on the right track.
Thanks, Siri. Okay, yes, go on.
Yeah. So just all over the place, trying to build, like just masking out a huge web where I find potential in growth.
Super. So recovery is one element, big element of it. Then you've got the e-commerce platform to assist GTM and growth for brands, right? And then Planet Right.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So now let's dive a little bit deeper into each of these. First, not a lot of people understand what recovery is. So let's start from there. What is recovery and what inspired you to build a community-led business out of it?
So I think to answer your first question, what is recovery? Recovery is something I feel that it's not taken serious, it's forgotten, or it's secondary. It's become so secondary that now people are dwelling into it because they feel that it's too late. Let me explain why. We came to a phase where everything of an output is parties or going out or traveling or just doing anything that is not work or doing anything that's not about building my career, right? And COVID taught us about or forced us in a position where we need to sit down and relook at the future of ourselves, right? And it taught us like, okay, so there is things that can happen. And so you better make sure that you know that, this is an essential part of life that people should have more information about. Then came out this whole aspect of like, Brian Johnson, AG1, Andrew Huberman, everybody just dwelling into recovery. Great. And I feel that it's everywhere, right? It's famous. But I feel those are only accessible to people who want to listen to podcasts, people who are, just interested in it. But what about those people who don't know about it or still don't want to see the benefits out of it? Now come back to Cold Plunge and how that associates is basically, I dwelled into it about 2-3 years ago, thinking like, let's just put a tub outside and jump into this Cold Plunge thing and see what it is about. Felt good after. And then I was like, let's get a few friends to come join.
Yeah.
Right. And then more and more people want to try it. But I think what they want to try is why they want to try it is just curiosity.
Okay.
Right. But then I realized, it's all about the fun, or it's like going for a swim. And if you can imagine, it's like a day out on the beach. Oh, it's fun. Yay. Okay. And then we're done. Right? But that's not recovery. So then I start dwelling deeper into it to understand why is it important for us? And I realized it's funny, interestingly, that we have been so in tune with the aspect that if something is wrong with us, the only option, or most of the time, the option is medicine. When we actually have a lot of ways or accessibility to a lot of things around us that is around us still, that was once what we used before medicine was invented. And these are natural stuff, right? So I tried to cultivate that to a lot of people, and that was what Cold Plunge was all about. But then, of course, the craze went big, right? Everybody wants to open a Cold Plunge place and everybody wants to try Cold Plunge.
Seriously? Like there are a lot of people who are looking to start this business?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look at, we have 8 competitors right now, and this grew in a year, right?
In just 1 year?
1 year.
In Singapore?
In Singapore, 8 competitors. Large facilities. I love them to bits. I think it's great what they're doing, but what has it become is the question, right? So it has become, what is everybody trying to advocate here when they build all this facility? Are they trying to advocate the fact that recovery is this thing that you do in a very cool spot? Are you actually going there to make your body and your mind feel better? Yeah. And that's what Cold Plunge is all about. So that's why we keep it simple. We keep it straightforward. We're very community driven because we like our community members supporting each other. And I think last but not least, which is one of the ethos that we really believe in is the fact that it has to be affordable and accessible to everyone. Because look, it's so expensive nowadays in Singapore, right? All over the world to build a place and it's always a business opportunity or business model. Yeah. And I understand, people need to pay rent and people need to grow and stuff. But who wants to do it because they really believe in the product?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the idea. Cold Plunge happened and we still are. So, we invite everyone and anyone. We do a lot of from cold plunges to warm magnesium baths to sauna coming up to yoga to sound bath to breath work. Right. But you're not going to pay 10 times of what you're paying outside.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
It's all accessible. And, the instructors that we filter and get in through as well, we ask them, say, why do you do this, right? If you're doing this because you want to make a lot of money, maybe this is not what we're trying to build here. If you're doing it because you believe that this needs to be accessible to other people, I mean, of course, I'm not going to say come and do it for free, right? We'll still pay them, but you okay? Like if you believe in this similar vision, then we're happy to have you on board. So that's the kind of people that we work with, which is amazing, and that I think gives a lot of opportunity for everybody to dwell more into recovery.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, I'm trying to delve onto this concept of recovery a little bit more. Why is it so important for people today to look at recovery? What if you don't do it? What are the consequences?
Okay. I think, to be honest, I don't think maybe I think most people, how the world has evolved, right? Everything is so accessible in front of a screen right now that we want to just sit there and power through it. And I think that lifestyle has put us in a position where, it's not what it used to be 40, 50 years ago when manual labor was more, where people actually got up and did work. When somebody who does that, it's very simple, the burning fuel, right? So that means your body moves, your heart rate is kept at a very steady position, and, your body has the ability to actually continue growing and living longer because your muscles are, in tone. And now it has shifted and everything is online. People want to sit in front of a desk because they justify that that's a job.
Yeah.
Right?
And if you're not sitting, then you are working in a weird place.
Exactly, right? And you don't want to do you don't want to do any kind of labor, and the only labor is the gym.
Yeah.
And then that also is 3 times a week. And so that is one of the biggest reasons, because see, the most important organ in your body is your heart. People forget that a lot. Why is it 30? I mean, okay, there's this let me just deviate a bit on this very interesting scientific term. Going to the gym is great. Running is great. Doing whatever, it's great. But everybody forgets this thing. Everybody forgets to train the heart, which is very interesting that I dwell upon.
And running is not training the heart.
So, you see, let's say you go to the gym.
Yeah.
Right? And you start lifting weights. Amazing. And you lift the weights, and let's say two types of working out, right? You lift heavy to build muscles, or you lift light and longer durations where you tone your muscles. Okay. Same thing with your heart. Okay. You see, your heart needs to be in a certain heart zone or certain specific heart rate radius for it to be trained. When you go above that, you're exerting energy, you're working your heart out, which is not wrong, which is okay to do, but people don't want to do it because it's boring. Now, let me put that in context, right? Meaning what? So your heart rate has 5 zones. The zone 1 is basically your resting heart rate, basically when you're sleeping. Then you have zone 2. Basically, zone 2 is a bit faster than walking.
Okay.
Just a bit. For you to have a chat with somebody and have a call, and just a bit faster. It's time. And then zone 3 is basically you running. And the thing about that is when people start running, immediately your heart rate goes to zone 3. How do you keep that in zone 2 for 45 minutes at least? That's training your heart, because it's very boring for 45 minutes to walk a bit faster than you actually walk. Yeah. So you cycle. Some people cycle, but then who wants to cycle 4 to 5 times a week? All right. So now coming back to the question. So that's the thing. So back in the days, doing manual labor, them working 6 to 8 hours doing work, that's training their heart.
Right, and because it was long, but not at like a insane pace.
Exactly.
It was like at a slightly higher than normal pace, and you were doing that for long. Okay, so that was building. It's a little bit like endurance.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And that right now, it's just we don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Right, and also the second thing is because that has been taking manual labor. People don't want to do manual labor. People don't want to go to the gym and walk on a treadmill for 45 minutes because it's boring. So that eliminates it, and that's why I think recovery needs to be a factor in it, right? And I think also information, because if I tell you, hey, eat salad every day, you don't want to eat it. Most people don't want to eat it every day because
no matter how innovative it is.
Exactly. Let's put this, let's put that, but it's interesting because if you don't, same thing, because you can say, let's eat, it's okay if I eat something and it's moderately unhealthy, right? But they add up.
Yeah.
And the thing about your body is you don't know when it hits you, it will hit you.
Yes.
Right? And that's the same thing with recovery, because everybody feel you can put your body through something. It's fine. I can work for 10 hours or 7 hours to sit down there. It's fine. I can eat whatever I want. Maybe I can eat McDonald's once a week. It's fine. But when you get to that stage, and I think the stages come as your age grows older, right?
Yeah.
And when that comes, the recovery aspect, if it's forgotten, your body will take more effect on it. That's when you need to dial down, and sometimes it becomes a bit too late, and then you need to take medication, and that's worse for your organs.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in fact, I'm deeply resonating with this because being an entrepreneur myself, I think last 1.5 years has been extremely stressful on the body and mind. Let's forget it. That's like next level. But why it has been stressful on the body is because of the lack of, as you said, endurance exercises, right? And you are in front of the computer building as much as you can, pushing out things as much as you can. So what happened to me beginning of this year was, of course, I started getting a really bad backache. And that was not because I was lifting something suddenly or doing some sort of strenuous exercise. It was literally sleeping and waking up, and then there was a backache. And it was painful. Like, it was horrible. And then, of course, go to the doctor, and doctors are like, okay, here are muscle relaxants and painkillers and a whole bunch of things. And it's like, rest. Give your muscle rest. But then I was lucky because this doctor who I went to, he is quite fit. He's definitely a little younger than usual doctors that you see here. And he was asking me to start stretching, which is the big red signal that I got from my body that I needed to be out there more doing things. And before now, I didn't know this term was called recovery because I was working on the same things. I'm doing 45 minutes to 1 hour on the treadmill at like a space of 4. So, and I'm seeing, and it's just been like 2 weeks since I've started. I'm feeling a lot more energetic. The back pain has gone. And and whatever other weird pains I had that I didn't pay attention to, they're surfacing and then they're going off.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. So, okay. Very strong point made about recovery here. And that led you to conceptualize Cold Plunge SG. So I saw you in this process of doing Cold Plunge as a very community thing. Hey, come and just take the ice bath. How did things evolve from there to now y'all being on a very nice rooftop, has one of the most amazing views in Singapore, which is brilliant. And then I went onto your website and I also saw that there were a lot of other things, as you just mentioned. There was this breath work, there is yoga, and a whole bunch of other things that you do. So explain to me how this journey happened, and and how are you making it so affordable in Singapore?
I think, well, first and foremost, you need to know your numbers. So, okay, I mean, I think how the journey started, same thing. Wanted to try it out.
Yep.
Got groups, posted on IG. A few more friends wanted to try.
Yeah.
So, I just say, hey, we're doing this every Saturday in this cute little blue tubs that we used to store ice in. More and more people wanted to try it out. And then my idea was, okay, let's charge just something for people to come and pay for ice, come and hang out. And, at the end of the day, just build a group of people that wants to do the same thing, like cycling or running or whatever it is. But instead of something that is focused on energy output, let's focus on something that is inputting energy to your body, right? Let's do it the other way around. So it started growing slowly. It's a long process. It was 2022. I remember, I think it's 2022, around December, I think. Maybe a bit, October. And then by the end of December, we had almost 100 people in a group chat.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is good. Let's just continue doing it. And, again, I need to manage other businesses and I need time. So I needed the business model to be as simple as possible. So the idea was to open it in the mornings for an hour or two because it made sense for people to do it before work and leave. And then some nights in the evenings, and then of course weekends people have more time, so we open up a bit more and that's it. And then it continued growing. I think in last year, 2023, I had a co-founder come in with me. And he was part of the business for about 6 to 8 months, brought a lot of good value of like, okay, let's set up a system, website, but, keep it simple. Let's not invest a lot of money in it because it's at a stage of how it's gonna, it can evolve any way you want. And the idea is to just make sure that it doesn't get out of hand. So we just invested in the cheapest things that we can get, keeping it simple. And ideally it took that aspect of being simple, easy, straightforward, and come here for the sole purpose of recovery, right? And introduced 1 or 2 very simple offerings like yoga or breath work, which was very interesting to people, but they can try it for very affordable prices. And slowly more and more people got to know about us because we were the only ones in Singapore actually gave out free trials.
Right.
No one else wanted to give out free trials. I understand maybe it's their business model. And my idea, the reason why I want to do that is because I felt that cold plunge or ice immersion is something that could be a bit intimidating. But when you say give out a free trial, that kind of takes that barrier away because I have nothing to lose, just my time. I'm not putting in any money, right? I just have to turn up. And the second thing that we market is guided. So you're not thrown there alone, right?
Yeah.
The coaches guide you.
Right.
And then as we grow, and I think what happened last year was basically, I think around August, my co-founder had to go back to Australia. So I was left alone in the business. So I thought there's two things I could do, right? I could either do it on my own or give it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I was actually very close to giving it up because I was like, okay, this could be an event kind of once a month kind of thing. And everybody can come and hang out and do some cold plunges from time to time.
Because you had other stuff running as well.
Yeah. So it could be, but then it also struck me like, why did I start this in the first place? Right. So if you set out on a journey, like you believe in the fact that you want to showcase something or you want to prove that this is something that you believe in, right? And there's a vision towards it. I mean, at least get to that vision before you back out, right? At least you try it. We're not there yet. Yeah. So that's why I said, let's do it. Let's see. And then of course, because we were set up behind an office, we also had, we had a change of landlords and then we had to move out. So that also means, okay, now we need to find a new spot. We need to make sure it's still simple, make sure it's still the vibe that we're giving. Very, very straightforward, outdoors. And yeah, thankfully we found this new spot. We spoke to the new landlords and they were nice enough to say, yeah, okay, why not take the space? Because their space is actually, they're not using the space that much.
Okay.
But, then we have to start scaling the business because, we pay a higher rent now. There's more investment. But yeah, and then I realized, I think as much as there's more risk, I think there's more opportunities as well.
Yeah.
So here we are at I think 1,500 members.
Wow.
Yeah. And now we offer 8 different services. We have 2 corporate clients that we provide offerings for wellness. One of our clients are Datadog. So basically every week we go to Datadog and provide yoga, breathwork, sound bath. The idea is to basically say, just say, hey, you have all this money that you're investing into your staff members to increase your productivity and give welfare for them, which is like snacks, good food, bring them out, all these activations. Why not invest a bit more in wellness? Could be a good game changer. And they took on that, the aspect with us, which is amazing. And that was my vision to actually bring this to the corporate clients.
Yes.
Right. Of course, my vision of the company, the end goal is to get to schools, which I'm working on right now. Why I say that is because I feel a lot of young athletes young athletes in school especially, are put through a lot of trainings, right? And they have access to information right now, right? All these top athletes are playing, so that means I need to train harder. I need to train more, but there's no recovery aspect there, right? Yeah. There's no let's do some stretching or let's do some recovery or, do a bit more of that so that you can train harder at the end of the day, because all this training, if you don't incorporate recovery, the repercussions come years down the road. Like that movie, I don't know if you watched that movie called Concussion by Will Smith. Yeah, it's a very good movie that you gotta go check out. And
Totally check that out.
It's about Will Smith being an autopsy doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, from Africa, and basically he, found out that there were people dying in their 40s and 50s suddenly, brain dead. But these are all like top football athletes who were basically clashing their heads when they were playing in their prime, in their 20s.
Right.
Right. And that's when the term concussion the diagnosis of concussion was created, because this thing that you're putting your brain into affects you later in the years, where they start have dementia and forgot memory loss happens later, and they just wanted to cover it up. Yeah, it's a very good movie. And that's the thing that we're trying to aspect, because I think especially young adults, not only the fact that they should train harder for work, I think recovery should be something that they should learn when they're young, right?
Yes.
So when they grow older, they can instill, it's like telling them eat more vegetables.
Yes.
So at least when they grow older, they know, okay, it's been instilled in me that vegetables should be part of my diet.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Okay, great. So from talking about recovery to vegetables being in your diet, I think this is a wonderful bridge because a lot of your journey has been around food. So I'm gonna go back, really back.
Yeah, okay.
In time. Yeah. So Yadi, I mean, I got to know you only from when you were a part of Draper Startup House. But what got you to lead, food and beverage at Draper Startup House? What was that journey like?
I think that was a very, very, very insightful journey. I got to thank Vikram a lot because I take a lot of his learning, and it's very interesting because people don't see it. I feel a lot of people forget about it. And what I mean by that is a lot of people forget, or it doesn't hit them enough when somebody gives you an advice because they see that potential in you. And I think the only way they see that is because they maybe experience it in their lifetime.
Okay.
How I say that is, so I was a chef, I was a bar guy, I was, doing all these restaurant gigs, and then I met Vikram in 2017, and as they were starting Tribe Theory,
Okay.
and I met him, and he was like, hey, what's up? And I was like, what are you doing? And then I was like, this is what we're doing. And then one fine day, he was like, hey, do you want to go to Bali? It's like, what? I'll buy you a ticket tonight. So I remember, are you serious? He's like, yeah, I'll buy you a ticket tonight. I go to Bali for the next few days. Go check out a spot. Okay. And I thought this guy was just pulling my leg. And that night he sent me an email saying, here's your ticket. I was like, are you serious? We're going to Bali tomorrow. Yeah. So we went to Bali. And I remember Vikram's oldest daughter, she was just barely a few days old. And I was traveling with us. And I mean, that's how long it has been, right? And we all flew to Bali, and I visited Draper Startup House in Bali. We had 2 Draper Startup House. It was managed by CK at that time.
Yeah.
Vikram's brother.
Yeah.
Good, amazing guy. And he said, hey, we should start an F&B program.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. And then, yeah, we ran I think CK moved to Myanmar to Draper, in Tribe Theory in Yangon at that time, and then we had Tribe Theory, of course, in India, and I was managing the one in Bali. We did an F&B program, became very well, and then I think close to mid 20, Tribe Theory got rebranded and funded by Draper. So that's when he wanted to set out a proper F&B program, and I led that program for him. So, we built Manila, we built Chiang Mai, we built Estonia, so all over the world. I think, my greatest lesson there was Vikram taught me a lot without me even subconsciously knowing. One interesting thing was, he asked me one day, he said, hey, you're doing burgers here. So how many burgers do you do a day? I said about 10.
Like in your previous job?
No, in Tribe Theory.
Oh, in Tribe Theory, yeah. Okay.
We had this chat, and then he was like, how do you do 100 burgers a day?
Yeah.
And I was like, we'll get 10 more people.
Right.
So I didn't know at that time. He was trying to tell me, how do you maximize
your output?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't know. And I was like, that was the only thing that came to my mind. And he gave me the opportunity because I think he was preparing me for Draper to come, and then so that you're gonna manage a few kitchens, around Draper's around the world. And again, I learned a lot from mistakes, and I learned a lot through him giving me a lot of advice that I didn't really realize at that time.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because there was a quote by a lot of people that was printed out in A4s in Tribe Theory Bali, just stuck all over like the hostel. And there was one, these are all famous people. And there was actually a quote by Vikram that says, invest in people. I only got that understanding years down the road. And I realized he invested time and money in me, into my growth, because I guess maybe he saw my potential.
Yeah.
Right. And then years down the road, and here I am, we do consulting and we build restaurants and bars for people. And that quote till today stuck in me because I invest in people. I give an opportunity in people. But that's the interesting thing is I've learned it very interestingly, like there could be 100 people that you want to invest in. Maybe one will turn out the way you think that could be up to your full potential. Right. And I think you're just grateful that you've been part of that journey.
Right.
So I'm always grateful that Vikram had this mindset about me.
Yeah, interesting. So how was life before you met Vikram and did Draper Startup House?
Good way or bad way?
Both way, whichever way you want.
So it's definitely very not recovery oriented. I mean,
but I saw these pictures of you in these amazing chef suits. You look so good. So
pictures, man, can mask 1,000 words, right?
Okay.
I mean, look, chef life was very, very. It's always on heat. That's what I would say. Right? You're in the kitchen. It's hot, and you're always, sleep deprived. Excuse me. I'll be up at 7 and go to bed at 2.
Wow. Okay.
Restaurant openings are as such, and it's 7 days a week, 6 months.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
I've done this and I've done it multiple times, but it's interesting because it's, you feel great doing it because you're like, oh man, you created something amazing and it's still there and it's still operating and
yeah,
that was it. And there's so much creativity. I think the good aspect was I could create a lot of things. I could build a lot of things. The disadvantage
And
is
this is in the form of what? Like food?
food,
Okay.
drinks, a concept, a brand.
Right.
I could build all of that. The disadvantage was I didn't know enough finances at that time.
Okay.
I didn't know enough about finance. And all I knew was taking people's money and just going, I'll do it for myself.
Right.
So that was one of the things that I needed to learn. And I think I learned a lot through my time with Vikram.
Okay.
Yeah. Because he didn't give me any money, the idiot. Yeah, so those times were amazing because we built I was part of multiple concepts, multiple cuisines, multiple beverage concepts. Really great. But yeah, I mean, I think the food and beverage industry is a very, very high intense industry. Many don't make it out,
Yeah.
right? But those who make it out very huge, like Gordon Ramsay or Mario Batali or whoever it is. But yeah, I think, and it's always ever evolving because people are just trying to push the barriers of creativity as much as they can. But yeah.
Okay. So when you mention all these different kinds of concepts, right? Tell me more about what happens behind the scenes to create these concepts.
No way.
I mean, most of us as people just go to these amazing restaurants and then you have either have really good food, you just come out drunk, or or if it's very, very thoughtful, then you're very aware of the entire experience that you go in. Yeah, but what happens behind? I don't think many people know.
So I think shout out to Vinny Laurier, who is, I think all my mentors don't know that they are my mentors, but I because I realized it only years down the road.
Right.
I realized they were the people that actually took time to advise me, which I didn't get at that time, but I only got it years down the road. So Vinny Laurier was a very, very interesting, very cool, very creative person.
Okay.
He was a chef, and I worked with him in 2016, just for a year.
Okay.
But I learned a lot. So how it works, right, is that you just imagine you need to realize that going into a restaurant is like going to somebody's house. Now, you not being a customer, but you're a person building this, right? So let's say if let's say today's the day and then people are going to come to your house.
Yeah.
And you're going to prepare food. You're going to prepare drinks. You're going to prepare ambience. You're going to prepare an amazing experience that when they leave here, they're going to talk about it. And they're always looking forward to come back to your house.
Right.
But now it's not free anymore. They got to pay to come to your house. So now how do you get that to happen? Is the question. So yeah, I think if you want to go down to the rubrics of it, it's basically, finding a great location is great. But Vinny Laurier taught me otherwise because I think that's where my community aspect came in. He always told me it's, if you have an amazing product but you don't have anyone to sell it to, what's the point? But if you have an amazing community, you can throw any product there. They believe in you already. And that's what he did, which very, very interestingly was no other F&B establishments that I've been with did that. He took 3 months to actually create dishes on a daily basis and let the mass public try to gain feedback. So he listened to his customers. And we did the same for the drinks, for the ambience, for the hospitality. And then once the place was up and running.
So you all would just bring people in?
No, we just opened up like a little pop-up.
Okay.
And everybody, people walk in, ask what is this, and it starts from the door, right? Because the moment people walk in, instead of saying "Good evening, welcome," you talk about what you are, right? And you tell, because people are curious, and you tell them what you are, invite them in, have a seat, try this, ask for feedbacks, get that feedbacks, write it down, and digest and see, okay, if this is something people want, let's give it to them. Do the masses want this?
Yeah.
And then once you gain all that info, you've already gained the community as well. So the community is always excited to go like, okay, this food was great. Drink was great. Place was great. I'm looking forward for their opening. Like what we spoke about, they're looking forward to come back to your house. And then you open up your house, you have a grand opening, invite all these people down. They're already excited. The next thing they do when they come and have a great experience at your actual establishment, they're going to talk about it to people. I went to this amazing place. You guys got to go try. Or we got to book our friend's birthday there or whatever, bachelorette or any kind of event there. Just try their food, the drinks, the concept. It's amazing. So that itself was, I think, an amazing foundation that Vinny Laurier taught me. Yeah, I think that's the fundamentals of, building a restaurant business or a bar business. You really need to build your community and you really need to know what they want. Because giving people what you think they want.
Yeah. What about, building people what they want? Coming from the tech world and SaaS world, this is also something that has been preached a lot. But at the same time, you see some of the more crazy product people, or the Steve Jobs of the world, maybe, or the Gordon Ramsays, or yeah, I'm just equating them because they are creators of their own products. But do you think that they also give what people want, or they're very proud to present what they like?
That's a good question. So I think, you see, I think giving people want until they believe in you is something you need to do. Gordon Ramsay didn't give them what they wanted until he was famous. Then he starts building all his restaurants,
Yeah.
right? Gordon Ramsay worked with Marco Pierre White for a very long time, who was the legend of Hell's Kitchen. And then he went to France, he worked for Le Cordon Bleu, and then he came back and got opportunities here and there, and then he started this and took over Hell's Kitchen. He did it his way, but by then he was a well-renowned chef with
Yeah.
TV shows and stuff. So now whatever he puts, people believe. Same thing I would say for Cold Plunge, that I'm using the people for a marketing purpose, right? If I say, hey guys, come over and try out breathwork, there's more people that would believe that breathwork is an interesting offering versus me just throwing out in the market because they don't know me very well. So I think giving people what they want in the beginning is to just fine tune. But I think always have it at the back of your head. And never go like, no, my product is still the best. Never turn that way. Be, like, stick to your roots. Even if let's say I grow to a point that, oh my God, Cold Plunge SG is very, very successful.
Yeah.
I'm still a big believer of getting feedbacks. How can we improve? And I think that's very, very necessary. I think it's a fine balance as you grow. Even today, people ask me like, "Oh man, this is a roof. You should do crazy parties here with a DJ." I can, but the question is, I need to ask myself if this is the right thing I want to give to the people, because then it changed the brand ethos.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This
And
is
the
not what
story that you were telling.
Exactly.
Why they bought into you in the first place.
Correct. And then am I actually cultivating what I preach to the people that actually believed in our services and offerings? So that's the fine balance of deciding what you want to give them.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. So now how did all of this come together to you creating 68 solutions? And tell me more about that, and we'll go deep dive into some of the concepts that you've worked on.
Yeah, sure. So 68 Solution was basically there's three of us. It was Casey, me, and Khalil. Khalil was the chef. Okay, so there's Khalil, there's me, and Casey. Basically, our first gig was basically we met Sam Cooper from Ollie Brands. And basically at that point in time, he was like, building Ollie.
Yeah. Is Ollie still there?
Yeah.
Okay, fabulous. I mean, for everyone who don't know Ollie, one of my favorite drinks. But it is alcoholic water.
It's alcoholic sparkling water or hard seltzer, but it's only one with no sugar, carbs, and gluten.
Yes. And I love that it's how much percent alcohol? 4%.
5%.
5% alcohol without all the carbs and
the gluten
everything.
and all the bad
And
stuff.
yes.
It's not to advocate you that you drink this more, it's better for you.
It's just an alternative to the crap you anyway have.
I think it builds curiosity to people on like, what does this do if you drink it without all this stuff inside? So if you do, people will dwell into more of understanding maybe this is a better alternative.
Yeah.
We helped him build this brand, and then we realized, okay, there was a lot of events that were coming up. People wanted to do a lot of, they want to accelerate their brands. Well, unfortunately, again, like I said, I think entrepreneurship is not for everybody. We had one of our members said, it's not for him, and then he stepped out. So Casey and me grew the brand, and then we had like good clients. So we built Avenue on 3 cafe and champagne bar over at Paragon. And then we did a lot of gigs for like Chanel, we did Gucci, we did all these high-end brands. So I think it was going very, very well. But I think for me, I see the brand was going very well, but I always felt like, the more we grow, I think we have to wear multiple hats. It came to a point for the brand that was going very well that we need to step up. I think Casey loved what he do more, right? So I think he wanted to just continue doing what he's doing, which is more of like music, DJing, and building maybe, I think building beverage concepts and stuff.
Yeah.
But I told him, my idea was like let's go bigger, right? But I think he was comfortable. So we had to part ways. In good terms, of course. And then I set up Planet Right myself.
Right.
And then, still have our clients and still continue growing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if 68 is still around. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's going well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to Planet Right, tell me a little bit more about the kind of brands that you work with and what do you do for them? What's the offering?
So I think first and foremost, we do consulting. So we help anybody that wants to build a restaurant or a bar. Okay. So, or any F&B concepts.
Any F&B concept?
Yeah.
Okay.
If this was 2 years ago, I would say, damn, let's make something very, very cool, very nice. You would say, how much capital did you have that, do you have an endless bank account and you just want to put this as a priced museum for everybody to walk in so it doesn't hurt your pockets.
Yeah.
But you can tell people that you have a cool restaurant or bar.
Yeah.
Or do you want something that makes sense? Right? So there's 3 different ways that you approach this. So if you say that, I have an endless pocket, fine, we'll build you a very, very beautiful bar restaurant.
Yeah.
Put people there and, maybe in 5 to 10 years, you want to sell it off, you sell it off. It's up to you. If you want something that is more like, it makes sense. Right now, I would say if somebody wants to open a bar restaurant, I say don't do it. The market is very, very saturated, especially Singapore.
Okay.
And also it's very hard to find manpower in Singapore, right? And cost is very high. What I would alternatively suggest is to build a brand. Now, who are the guys who do it very well? People like Wok Hei.
Okay.
Right? People like Stuffed. People like Luckin Coffee. These are very, very smart because the brand is easily replicated and they franchise the model very quickly out. It's low cost, small places, and they grow very quickly, right? So that's the thing. It's very hard for you to do something very fancy and you have a chef putting so many fancy so many fancy things on a dish.
Yeah.
And then when he leaves,
That's it.
Then and then the next chef will come and he wants to change the whole menu.
Yeah.
And then your clientele goes like, okay, what do I do now? So that's confusing to people.
Yeah.
Guzman is such a smart business model. Wok Hei is such a smart business model. And now Six Hands is one of my favorites. We're growing very quickly. It's a very good business model because you give the people what they want. You don't tweak it too much and it's very easily replicatable. And the cost is very low because the systems are very streamlined. What I mean by that, you don't need somebody with a tweezer putting a flower on a nice plate. You just need a guy can pick up salad, weigh, and put it into a bowl. That's it. So you see the difference there.
Yeah.
And you don't need to pay the tweezer guy $10,000. You just pay the guy with the gloves $3,000. So multiply that. That becomes a very good business model.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're basically reducing the skill level by doubling up on the processes. Okay.
Because again, Vinny Laurier always told me this, and I believe it till today still, and I apply it to all my businesses. Never manage people, manage systems, right? Because if you are managing people, people will move on, people will change, people will grow, people will mature.
But you still invest in people.
I invest in people, 100%. But I think the reason why I invest in people, I don't invest in money. I invest in time and skill. My time is very valuable for me.
Yeah.
Right. So, so I think when you streamline processes, it's easier because the managing people part becomes lesser. You manage the systems instead. If you tell 10 people, hey, 10 people, you need to only put 100 grams of lettuce inside, they do it. If one guy puts 80 grams, okay, this is not the right guy. Let's find another guy who actually puts 100 grams. That's it. So I think that is a very good business model. And I think that's why all these small establishments are thriving. Right? Because again, to the people, oh, wow, I want to go to this super cool restaurant, has 2 Michelin star, and look at the menu.
Yeah.
How many times in your lifetime are you going to go there and eat a $500 menu?
I mean, yeah, once in maybe 6 months to 1 year. And that actually it's even lesser than that.
If you go to Wok Hei,
yeah, you don't think about it.
Exactly. Because that's your default. That's basically how people's brains are wired, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to make too many choices during lunch. You just need to drop down to the defaults of like what's simple to easy to order. And that's what they have done.
Yeah.
Right? They've created a system where basically on people's brains, Guzman is easy to understand.
Yeah.
Okay, it's easy to understand. So because it's just at the back end, I don't need to think so much. Go there. Tick, press, go. It's cheap. And, it's healthy. Nowadays, Guzman they have salad bowls in it as well. And, it kind of falls into the healthy section as well. So, doing that is smart, I think. So I think that would be the advice that we give as a consulting company right now. If somebody come up to us and go like, what should I do that will build my business for me? Keep your costs low, build something that is out of the box, but any Tom, Dick, or Harry can be replaced to do that for you. Right.
Okay, cool. So let me give you a hypothetical scenario and you can advise me on how to do this. And I think we've had this chat before, but it was a while back. So in India, There is, especially in the metro cities, there is a whole influx of Southeast Asian food. And so people are very interested in Japanese food. People are interested in everything else that makes them feel very international. And it's a great concept because these cities are metro. And these cities have, and I'm talking about Bangalore, Calcutta, Mumbai, Delhi. Yeah, okay. So now in Calcutta specifically, which has had a lot of Chinese influence from a very long time, we noticed that they do not have mala.
Here we go. I still don't like the name. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. So we do not have mala, and we tried very hard to find in many, even in the more very traditional Chinese places. Yeah, but we couldn't find mala. And then so now we're thinking, and this is actually Michelle and I, we keep jamming about this concept more, and we did a test also, and I'll tell you later about the test. But yeah, how would you? So I come to you and I'm basically like, I'm thinking of opening a mala restaurant, right? In Calcutta. How would you advise me to?
Okay, so
Mala hot pot.
Mala hopper.
Yeah.
So I think what you should do to begin with, once every month or maybe once every 2 weeks, host a Mala event. Right? Make it very simple. Right? You get 2 induction stove or 2 whatever woks, right? That you need. Get the mala sauce. So basically, I think you need to go try a lot of malas first, right? And then maybe even to be smart, guys, this is a tip I'm giving you. Go work part-time for them.
Right.
And say I want to work in the kitchen. See what are the recipes that they're using. Grab it. Understand better what makes mala mala. And then the second part is basically the food choices, right? You have all the veggies and the ingredients and stuff like that. I think the second thing you need to do is basically see what's accessible in the space and region that you have. You don't need to go crazy over it, right? So get maybe 30 ingredients, 40 ingredients, get paper plates, whatever. And this is a 1 hour thing. So you come in, people pay, I don't know, very cheap. And then what you do is say, okay, what is this concept? I don't understand. Invite your friends and family. All you need to do is come and say, okay, you can only be allowed to pick 5 or 6 items, whatever it is. And then you give it to the chef and then you just choose your spicy level. Make it a bit fun. Press the button and this is spicy level. And they cook and then try and then they give you feedback. So this is your platform. Get feedback, what they think about it, because in India, I know people are very critical about their food favorites, right? They're definitely going to go like this, that. So get a Google form out, say, what would you think, da. Trickle all of that down, and then run it for at least 2 to 3 months. It has to be consistent, right? Try it once every 2 weeks. It has to be simple, low cost. Maybe get them to pay, I don't know how much food is there, maybe 20, 30 rupees, whatever. And then at least you don't make a loss and invite 15, 20 people. And then say, if you like to try our next one, we're reinventing it, join our WhatsApp group. Yeah. You grow. In 3 months, let's say, okay, so you've done all of this, right? And you feel that the feedbacks are such. And then you have some Instagram, some social media following. But then maybe what you could do is my recommendation is always this, right? See if you can partner up with someone. Could be a beverage company. I think beverage company works, or a dessert company. Okay. Why I say that? Because mala is spicy. You can get something that is a drink that you don't need to invest in, or ice cream. I don't know, whatever it is, that is sweet. So get next to that and say, can I share half your rent? And then you get somebody and you train them. Because mala is so simple, you're just throwing ingredient to a wok. You're stir frying it based on the spicy level. So I guess, let me see behind my brain, the spice level is basically the amount of teaspoon of chili you put in. That could be it, right? If you want extra spicy, it's, I guess, 3 teaspoons or 5 teaspoons. So that is a very, very simple system that you're doing. And every item is weighed on the weighing scale. And it's in front of them. And they look at the weight, calculate, no one's get cheated, pay the money, you sit down. And again, like I said, don't have waiters, don't have stuff like that. Queue numbers get called, they come and pick up the food. Keep your cost of manpower low, keep your food costs low. Invest in things that does not go out bad quickly, right? If you say veggies, then make sure that you only get enough amount of veggies for that day. If you sold out, never mind. That's a good problem to have. Right? And then I think in mala, you need 2 or 3 big fridges. Outside, you need that thing that makes it cool. That's it. Grow from there. So once you have a queue or you have people waiting and you sold out every day, keep selling it. Do not increase. When you keep selling out, that's the point that you start franchising. Right. This is interesting. Yeah, that's because whoever wants to franchise wants to see a queue. And that's the model. And then by then, your playbook should be already how to build another mala restaurant based on the experience that you have. Right? The systems in the kitchen, the chef. Because like I said, any Tom, Dick, and Harry needs to come and know how to fry that because
Yeah.
it's throwing ingredients and stir frying
Yeah.
for like 1 minute, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right? And then just repeat that to another spot. Same
Yeah.
branding, pull it out, and then grow. I think it's not hard to pull that off, especially there.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, if there's no mala there, I think it's a good concept. I think it's really trying to get people to try it. I think that's the important thing first.
Yeah.
You need to know if there is some people. If you say there's a lot of Asian cuisines coming up, then maybe I think that could be a potential market for franchise.
Okay, so our test was we set up a mala hot pot dinner at home and invited, of course, family members, and just said that try this out and put in ingredients that we took from Singapore. So they're not like natural ingredients that you can find in India, and they were very curious about the uniqueness of the whole concept as well as the ingredients itself. Like having like cheese inside of fishball was not new to was very new to them actually. So it was an interesting learning from that.
But what was the take behind? Because sometimes, and don't take this wrongly, but sometimes you can confuse people once, but if you confuse people twice, then it's a bit hard to convince them. Mala itself, I don't say it's the factor of like trying to get people to understand what mala is. Then if you put ingredients that are alien to them, that could be...
Yeah. So what we did was, they were very familiar with things like chicken, right? So that was one thing. We wanted to explore paneer, but we didn't do that because I think that day paneer was not available. But what we said was we had tofu. And we said that, this fried bean curd comes from tofu, which is kind of like paneer, but not paneer. And then they bought into that concept as well. So all in all, they really felt that the spice was something that they did not ever experience before.
I think that's where you hit your point. It's the spice. Because I don't think mala is something normal there. Which I think is cool. Because I think you should leverage on that and use the ingredients that are already in India for you. And that could be a secret recipe. Dude, you can even white label it. Again, you can white label your own spice.
Yeah.
Right? Go to a factory.
Like Heidi Love.
Yeah, there you go. Like go to a factory, right, in India, just do a one-time bulk import of the mala spice only.
Yeah.
Tell them to make you this chili powder, repackage and label, and it's only yours. If you can't sell mala, people still buy your spice, and they know your brand through that. Even, and that's cheap to do.
That is. Okay. Super cool. Going a little bit more now, apart from this whole mala conversation, So Yadi, tell me about a time when you came up with a brilliant brilliant concept for F&B, right? And maybe you got a bunch of investors who are interested to also do it and put in the effort, but it did not work out as you expect it to. Was there even something like that?
Okay, this was many, many, many years ago. I think the investors... Okay, so it was a very small bar. I think one of the first few contracts, it's like 12 years ago. So it was a bar that was... The clientele was very straightforward. They wanted beers. They wanted watch soccer and football, and they wanted food. And I was like, no, I think they want very fancy cocktails, and got the investors to buy all this fancy stuff and all of that, right? And nobody wanted to drink that stuff. And people just want beer. Just give me beer,
No fancy cocktail. Okay.
No. And this was 12 years ago. Fancy cocktails wasn't a thing yet.
Okay.
Right? People just wanted... That bar was just a space where people sit down and just want to eat food and watch football and drink beers. And beers was the main thing. I always try to convince people, like, oh, drink cocktail. They're like, nah, man, this is not what I want. It's not... So it ended up to a point that I confused the clientele because... There are people who want to drink cocktails and there are people who want to drink beer, but then people don't know what this place is now. Is it a sports bar where people come in and watch soccer? Or is this a cocktail bar? So the clientele get confused now. Then they're like, so at the back of their head, so their existing clientele actually are like, okay, let's go to the sports bar, but I don't know about this. And I think that's also a mistake that a lot of bars and restaurants do nowadays because they don't stick to what they envision because they feel like, oh man, they're losing the market.
Yeah.
And then when they do that, they get desperate.
Yes. It's this fear of impending doom that causes you to move from your idea.
100%.
Confusing the clientele is one of the bigger reasons F&Bs fail. Give me another story of this.
Oh my God.
Example of this, exactly. Like not of your experience, but that you've seen that what are they doing? Yeah, that one.
Wow. Okay, let's see. So I've seen a lot of, okay, you can walk down Craig Road and see. I think there's this place called Mr. Singh and Mrs. Something.
Okay.
Don't know if you have seen it.
Where is this?
Craig Road.
Craig Road. Okay.
Yeah.
No.
And then there's another place called something, a wine place.
Okay.
Right? And all these places lasted less than a year. Right? And I feel less than a year, that means they just burn through money, they didn't make any money, and they owe, they just want to pay off their suppliers and wash their hands. And I think the place that called Mr. Something, Mr. Singh and Mrs. Something was actually by Anand Gagan. And it was a failed
he's like a creative.
Yeah, I mean, he got
genius.
best restaurant in Asia before, top 50s. So I think what happened here was they didn't know, they're confusing the customers because you're trying to put two concepts together. I think it was Mr. Singh and Mrs. Something that was trying
I think it's a Japanese and Indian concept.
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think I remember now that you mentioned Gagan. Okay.
So then you are like, do you want to attract Japanese customers or you want to attract Indian customers? What do you want to do, right? So, and then in the Indian customer head, they're like, they're not going to take you for an Indian restaurant. They're going to take you for, maybe let's try it out. The same for the Japanese customers as well.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why you're like, and they didn't last very long. They're gone. And the other place that I told you was this very interesting spot that, when they started, I forgot the name as well. When they started natural wines and then they had food, but they didn't know what concept of food. They say, when you tell people modern redefined cuisine, what does that mean? Like, what? You couldn't cook an iPhone? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Right? So again, like, it's not going to defaultly drop on somebody's head that, oh, I know what it means now. Yeah, so that's confusing people. If you say Mexican, people understand, okay, it's Mexican food. So I think that's when people overcomplicate stuff and confuse people.
So keep it simple, stick to the categories that most people know, right?
What does wok hei mean? In Chinese, wok hei means the wok, and hei is the smell.
Okay.
The smokiness when you do a fried rice or fried noodle.
Yeah.
It's a simple thing. Of course, some people wouldn't know, but then they're smart because they know, okay, maybe the larger population is Chinese, they understand what hey, but most people don't know what, also there's a lot of people don't know what. So they purposely put a glass and make the chefs cook, right?
Yeah.
So people, oh, this is wok hei.
Yes.
Or they ask what is wok hei. Oh, this is actually wok hei. So they visualize it. So it's very, you see, the concept is not about how great the food is. The concept is everything is cooked out of that wok. Everything is stir fried there.
Yeah.
So people know I can get a stir-fried noodle, stir-fried rice, stir-fried udon, whatever it is, and I go to wok hei. So simple. I know what I want, and it's there. So I think that could be a thing for mala.
Yeah.
So, maybe brand it in a way that you go like, it could be mala, right? Just say mala, that's it. And then brand your own thing, your own spice mix, bring it home, and then make it bold, no overcome mala, stir-fried, done. 3 steps. Put in your ingredients, put in a pot, fry. Done. Because people want simplicity.
Yes.
Right? And if they go home and do it, it's good. Okay, how does it taste in your restaurant? Let's go.
Beautiful. I love this because complexity is more than enough.
Let the coders do that.
Even there with user experience, design and stuff, the real good products have very simple user experience.
Exactly.
It's so 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. Yeah. Now I think with that, and because time is a little bit less, I would love to end this on the concept that we should keep things simple, both in the businesses that you're working on and in your lives. So recovery being one of the most important aspects. And Cold Plunge SG is in Singapore. I'll put the link to it below as well. So I will be going there as well. Any last things for you to tell our audience?
No, man. I mean, hey, keep it simple, keep it consistent. Ask if you don't know. If people don't want to tell you, do research. That's it. It's not difficult, but just follow these few rules. You'll get there.
All right. Thank you so much, Yadi. It was a fantastic episode.